the DJI Ronin SC. Here we are. Okay, we're late. Sure. But if you're watching this, so are you. So don't blame me. But it might be one of the best times right now to buy a Ronin SC, and I'm going to tell you why. You might also be wondering, why are we outside? Where's the studio? How long can hippos hold their breath? I don't know about the hippos, but we're outside because I wanted to film this on a gimbal, because we're talking about a gimbal. So let's test it out for something you might use it for. Do I regret doing this? Yes, absolutely. It's really hot outside. I'm sweating, and I'm constantly out of breath, and it's hard to hold this up while I skate. But do I do it anyway because I love making videos? Yes, also absolutely. Am I about to hit a car going into a road? Also yes. All right, it's really hot outside. Let's get in the studio, and let's unpack this gimbal and see what it's all about. Right, we're back in studio. I'm clean, I'm shaved, I'm happy. It's no longer super hot outside because I'm inside. And also it started raining. Moving on. Let's have a look at just the basics of what you get in the box with the Ronin. So you obviously have your little tripod legs, a little bit more plastic than the last version, but great overall premium quality. You have your battery grip, you have the gimbal itself. You have a few little accessories. This guy we'll talk about a little bit later as well. Cold shoe and a cell phone mount, which is actually one of the more interesting new features of the SC, so we'll dive into that. And if we have a look at the little box, pretty much the same as with the Ronin S, just a lot smaller and lower profile, as the SC is overall. You've got some connection cables just to connect your camera to the actual gimbal to use the record button, etc. You have a little lens prop that comes included for longer lenses that need some height. You have your plate, which is a lot smaller and no longer a Manfrotto plate, so you won't be able to just take this off and put it on a Manfrotto tripod. This is quite nifty though. It's a little placeholder nib that you kind of tighten in to make sure you put it in the same place. So if you balanced your camera, you won't need to rebalance it multiple times. Riser plate for either lighter cameras or taller lenses, longer lenses, that kind of thing. And a couple of nibs, accessories, Allen keys, etc. Obviously, your booklet, as always. Enough with the unboxing. So earlier I told you guys that this might be one of the best times to buy a Ronin SC, and I'm going to tell you why, and I am, throughout this video. But the gist of it comes down to this. Right now might be the cheapest time to buy a Ronin SC that it's ever been. These things are on special everywhere. I'll put a couple of links below so you can have a look yourself. The RS and the RSC are coming out, and they're going to be better, so to speak. They have improvements. But that doesn't mean it's not worth owning this. This might still be perfect for you, and it's going to be cheaper now than it has been since launch, ever. So that's the gist of it, but we're going to get into a bunch of other reasons why this is a good gimbal and why it might be perfect for you. First, let's have a look at some of the new features, including the cell phone connection and active track, and what that entails and how useful it is. Before we jump into anything else, big shout out to Sabi and Flytrap for sending me these very dangerous looking quote-unquote unboxing knives, which I will probably hurt myself with because we've seen how I am with unboxing knives. But shout out to those guys. It's really great to see viewers thinking about me and sending me stuff to help with future videos or cut off my fingers. I'm not really sure. Anyway, let's dive back into the Ronin SC. The gimbal features your usual 3-axis motorized stabilization with a maximum payload of about 2.2 kilograms, so we're aiming more at the mirrorless market here. Some DSLRs will work, but you'll want to check the weight of your setup before purchasing this. In terms of battery life, DJI says that it'll get about 11 hours on a full charge, and in our testing that seems pretty accurate. Usually we would get around 11 hours, depending on how you're balanced. If your balancing's a little bit off, it can cause the motors to work a little harder, so you might get a little less, or if you're working in high winds or rough situations.
I've been kind of up and down about active track. I think in the beginning I thought it was going to be a real game changer, and then I kind of thought maybe it's more of a gimmick, but I think there's a place for it. I think after testing and playing with it a bit, there's a definite spot where active track works and can help you if you use it for the right thing and in the right way. One of the major downsides for me with active track is you have to put your phone on top of the camera and then mount it onto the gimbal. It's just a little lopsided, it doesn't feel as nice, you can't go into underslung. And then you usually kind of have to try and match the focal length of your phone with whatever focal length you're using on a camera. So it's about 16 on iPhone 11 Pro, so you kind of have to go for about a 16mm. There's ways around this by just moving the distance and making sure your framing crops in the way that you want to use. For a lot of this footage, I actually used a 30mm and a 45mm, which actually turned out pretty okay. But it's not ideal, so there's little things you have to kind of work around the whole time. I wish there was a way to offset or to set it that the phone is mounted on the side of the gimbal and that it still will kind of try and match up where those frames should be or how the gimbal should move. But I guess that's asking a little much, so I'll take it.
Fancy features aside, I think they've done a great job with this gimbal. It's super easy to use, it's lightweight, it has a great battery life. It's the easiest to balance gimbal I've used. Even when swapping out lenses or camera bodies, it only ever took me a minute or two maximum to rebalance for the new kit. I gotta give it to DJI, I think they did a great job on the actual gimbal. The fancy features, give it, take it, I don't really care that much. Some of it's useful if you use it the right way, some of it's just kind of there, it's a nice to have. But the actual gimbal itself, in terms of ease of use and how beautiful the end product is, I'm there for it. I think they did a great job. Look, there's so much more about the Ronin SC we could talk about. We could talk about the balancing, we could talk about the app and everything that does, we could talk about whatever, but I think there's enough content out there about it. I'll leave some links below if you guys want to have a look. In general, what we're really trying to find out is this still worth owning in 2020? And yeah, in my opinion, it really is, especially as I mentioned, considering the price, what you can get it for right now on special at so many places. Go have a look around, you're gonna find a good price on this thing and it's worth it. For sure, if your camera balances, of course. If you have a bigger camera, this isn't for you. But I definitely think it's worth it in 2020, and I definitely think you should have a look at it if you're looking for a good, solid gimbal. So let's have a look at some more footage, and I'll see you guys next time. Hopefully you've learned something, as always. Hopefully you've had a good time. And again, if you like this video and want to see more content just like this, hit the subscribe button, the like button, and the bell notification icon. I'll see you guys next time, where we will be having a look at the Sony a7C that just came out and seeing why it exists, and if it's good, and if you should buy one. See you guys soon.